Good morning and welcome to Living Local 15. Thank you so much for joining me. First up, I am taking you out to Roanoke to visit the old Coil factory, Vintage Shops of Roanoke, and to learn how this new business is bringing together local vendors to make it easy for you to shop. Then I'm taking you inside of IU Health Physicians to see how their location runs and learn from their doctor why this practice is a good choice. That and more happening now.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
This segment is sponsored by Old Coil Factory, Vintage Shops of Roanoke. I am strolling down the streets of downtown Roanoke at the Old Coil Factory. This is the Vintages of Roanoke. And inside they have so many different shops and vendors, over 62, and it ranges from home decor, games, music, and so much more. You can shop and find those little sweet nuggets. So I'm going to take you on the inside, speak with their owners, and learn all about it. Let's do it. I'm now joined by Debbie Gold, who is the owner here, and her husband, Dan Gold. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, so I feel like I took a step back in time. This is a vintage shop, and walking around with you, Debbie, and looking at the different items was so much fun because you have a little bit of everything.
Thank you.
Start off by giving us an overview of the Old Coil Factory.
Well, we are a 55 plus vendor mall. Each space here is owned by a separate person, and they make it their own little space. It's like their own little store. They make it their own with their personality, which makes it really neat to see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like they get to curate their space, right? I mean, it's art within art, because there's themes, there's color schemes. I mean, it's just so cool, and it is jammed packed.
It sure is, yeah.
And it goes far, far in the back. And though this is a vintage shop, this is new.
Right.
So you opened it recently, and what made you have this idea?
Well, I used to do booths myself. I had booths in many places like this, and I just really adored how it all works. I thought I could be really good at this, and I wanted to try it myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bringing something of this caliber to Roanoke. I'm sure the community is really excited.
I hope so, yes, and we love Roanoke. Roanoke is a fabulous place to live.
Yeah.
It's a great place to visit, and so we encourage people to come check out our little town because it's great.
It is, it is. So Dan, as you have seen this place get built and kind of develop with the different items and seeing how your wife has worked, what would you say really sets the Old Coil different from other multi-shops that may be around?
Well, really, like Debbie said, there's just personality of each owner. I mean, when you walk between each one, you can see the different styles, their different products. They've done a great job decorating. It's just a terrific place.
Yeah, it is. How many booths would you say about you have here?
We have 62?
Yes.
62 booths.
Yeah.
It's incredible, okay, because you got to keep walking. And the further back you go, another room you will discover. And you have a range of things from kitchenware to glass sets, all the way to like big furniture items in the back, right?
Yes, we have consignment space in the back, and we have booths back there. Just such a variety.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't find something that you love and treasure here, I'm not quite sure where you're going to find it.
Right. And I was going to ask if someone has products or a business that they want to add here, do you have available booths or are you sold out at the time?
Right now I have 2 booths available,
Okay.
So I encourage the right people to walk through my door. Yep.
I love that.
Always looking for good.
It works.
Yes.
Yes, because really you create this store environment that people can have their booths, but they don't physically have to be here because your fabulous team will actually check out everyone, and that's a nice flow.
Yeah, it is. It creates a way to make good passive income, and they just come in and keep it stocked up, and
dust it.
Yeah, dust it, and it kind of takes care of itself from there.
I love that. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing about your business. And again, this is really cool. It's nice to kind of take a tour and walk around. So best of luck to you both.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
And if you would like more information about the Old Coil Factory, the vintage shops of Roanoke, we'll have their website listed below. Come on out and pay them a visit. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Old Coil Factory, vintage shops of Roanoke.
Have an idea for the show? Want to find out how you can be a guest? Contact us at livinglocal15@wayne.com.
Do you want to know the best places to go to eat and drink around Northeast Indiana? Well, join me, Jessica Williams, for Living Local 15, weekdays at 9 a.m. as I take you inside of the best restaurants, new and old, explore their menu, and of course, mix up some cocktails. Where will I go next? Well, you'll have to watch and see, but I want to know, where do you recommend I go?
Keep up with Jessica Williams on Living Local 15, weekdays at 9.
I am outside of IU Health Physicians, which is an all-in-one medical practice to get everything you need and more. Today I'm going to talk to Dr. Erin Jefferson about preventative care, learn more about her services, and that she's accepting new patients. Let's do it. Joining me now is Dr. Erin Jefferson, who is a family medicine physician here at IU Health. Hello, doctor.
Hi.
It's so good to sit with you.
Nice to sit with you as well.
Yes. Okay. So I'm just dying to learn so much about just family practice and family medicine and what that really looks like from scratch. We've all had a family doctor, and it's so important to just fully understand all the services that we can obtain by visiting you. So before we dive into that, let's start with your background. Tell us about just your history and how you became a doctor.
So I was born and raised in Indianapolis, not too far from here, and I had a love of science and medicine from an early age. But what really encouraged me to support others is to make sure that I could support people during their difficult times. When I saw some family members go through some illness, I really decided that I needed to be a source of comfort to people, and I figured this was a great way to do it and to combine all of my loves.
Yeah, exactly. And I read that you really care just about providing the best and affordable health care for the family, and really focusing on the whole family, which is the coolest thing about a family, physician, is you're not only just seeing the children, you're seeing the mother. You're seeing the mother when she had the child, and then as the child grows. So tell me just about that experience and how you provide services for the entire family.
So I think in order to make sure that people reach out and get preventative services and healthcare, you have to make it easy and accessible. And especially if we take a new mom, she has maybe one or more kids that she needs to coordinate, and she doesn't always have time to coordinate childcare or whatnot to go to the doctors. So if we can have a one-stop shop where they can come and get all of the care they need in one place, and maybe even do visits back to back for her and her family members, then it's ideal for everyone.
Right, exactly. And it's that comfort, right? You know who you're talking to, you feel comfortable opening up, because it is such a personal relationship that we have with our doctor. So let's dive into the preventative services and kind of give me a rundown of what people can actually come and see you for.
So there are so many things that we can offer here in family medicine, and I think one area of confusion is what's the difference between a preventative service and a problem-based service. So a problem-based service would be something like I have a sore throat, or I sprained my ankle, or I think my blood pressure's been running high. And alternatively, a preventative service really gives us an opportunity to have a proactive mindset in terms of health and look for conditions before they develop or before we even know that they're there. So those types of things involve age-appropriate cancer screenings, immunizations, and just general lifestyle coaching. So those types of things are incredibly important for a long, healthy, sustainable life, and also a good quality of life as well.
Right, and I think sometimes people are used to seeing those services such at health fairs, for example, where you walk around and get those screenings, but you don't have to wait to find your next health fair. It is important just to come and be regular on getting those screenings. So how often would you say a patient should come and see you to make sure that they're up to date on those items?
Fantastic question. You know, when we see newborn babies, we see them pretty frequently in their first year because we want to make sure they're hitting their developmental milestones, want to make sure they're current on their immunizations, and they're gaining weight appropriately. But once we get into older age, once a year is sufficient for those preventative services. Where it can get tricky is if someone has chronic medical conditions and they're here maybe a few other times in the year, it can be sometimes a difficult ask to say, come back one more time for those preventative services, but it's so valuable and so important.
So you make such a good point, because I think about, well, if you're already coming to the doctor for a reason, can you just slide those screenings in, or is it best to set up a separate appointment for it?
Great question. You know, on some circumstances, we can squeeze them in together. We try to be really mindful of people's time and their cost and transportation barriers, those kinds of things. But in order to provide high quality medicine, we want to give each problem the appropriate amount of time and consideration it deserves. So for example, weight management concerns are things that come up a lot, and they fall under the scope of wellness and prevention. But those are really lengthy conversations, and so those aren't always best to squeeze in with other conversations as well.
That's a good point, because it's about getting the best attention to what you need, and then, you know, being mindful that you have other patients to see as well. So it's just about allocating the right time at the right time. And so let's talk about the age ranges a little bit. I mean, I would assume things are broken up by children, adolescents, and then men and women, adults. So let's start with children. What would be some of the top preventative screenings or tests or questions that a parent should ask about their child?
Well, lots of that in terms of the preventative questions. That's our job to help guide the parent through that. But certainly questions, if you ever notice as a parent that something with your child just doesn't seem right, they don't seem to be talking or walking or doing things that their other age similar peers are doing, then that would be something to bring up to your physician. But at those appointments, it's our job to ask a lot of probing questions and really make sure that that child is meeting those guidelines. One thing, for example, that we do to help with that is we do some questionnaires. In our office, we use the MCHAT and the Ages and Stages questionnaires, which are very popular and well-regarded developmental questionnaires to look for things like autism and similar. Alternatively, we'll also test for things like lead, check for anemia, and then of course we do hearing and vision screenings as well. So those are all very important as kids age. Yeah,
and you're right, especially at the beginning, trying to pay attention to all those motor skills as they're being developed to make sure that's right on task. Okay, but then you have the next level, which are adolescents. So that falls in your tweens, your teens, and then almost adults. What should parents just be mindful of as they're observing their young adults to see if they maybe need some additional help?
I think the biggest thing is, unfortunately, depression and anxiety, social isolation are so prevalent right now. So really making sure that those adolescents come in for a preventative visit is huge, because we have the opportunity to screen for those issues. And sometimes adolescents are very keen at being able to hide those feelings if they don't feel comfortable speaking about them. And occasionally during those exams, we will even ask if the parents feel comfortable stepping out of the room, just so that the adolescents feel like they have a really safe space to bring that forward. And then of course we talk about a lot of things that come with growth and aging. We talk about, of course, immunizations, we talk about puberty, we talk about sexual health, avoiding drug use and substances and things like that. All of the things that peer pressure can sometimes encourage, and we try to educate but never judge.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. And you make such a good point about the fact that sometimes we think about it's about our physical health, but the mental health is just as important, and it is something that really starts with a physician. You know, people think, oh, I have to maybe go see a therapist or this and that. Those are great, but it starts right at home. I kind of feel like a family practice physician is like the home base, like you're the hub, right? And then you can kind of you can refer out from there.
That's exactly how I view myself. I think of myself like the quarterback of the football team. I know that's sometimes a cliche, but so many of my patients have other specialists, and it can be very overwhelming for them to keep track of those appointments and to know what their other specialists have said. So the family physician can really be that central communication point, and I can help to reinforce and support those recommendations that their specialists have provided. And I think that goes a long way in making sure nothing slips through the cracks and nothing is forgotten.
Right, exactly. Okay, so now let's jump over to adulthood. And of course we have men and women, totally different, sets of body and just our makeup in different tests and focal points that's needed. So let's start with women.
So women, I think every physician has a different flavor of their practice, because every physician has different interests and also a different population that tends to gravitate towards them. So I think me being a woman, I tend to attract a lot of women patients. So I do a lot of well-woman visits. I do PAPs, I do IUD placements, I do Nexplanon placements. We talk a lot about also depression and anxiety, just like with the adolescent population. And then we talk a lot about hormone health and weight management and diabetes prevention, cholesterol issues and elevations. Really, if you can think of it, we talk about it. And usually I start at those visits talking about 4 key drivers of health. I talk about diet, I talk about sleep, I talk about exercise, and I talk about mood. And if we talk about all 4 of those, usually something will come out of that discussion that allows us to determine where our next steps are.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it's such a whole body experience the older we get, because our body's working more, we've been around longer. So it's like every single organ, it's like, okay, what is happening? Heart health, lung health, all these things.
Exactly.
Which is great. And then of course, as women, get above the, I can't remember the age threshold, but then you start moving into like mammograms and like you said, cancer screenings and stuff like that. So then on the men's side, the first thing I think about is prostate and how that's such a big difference between the two. So what other things should men really focus on?
So we do talk about prostate health with men, but we also talk a lot about their general sense of well-being and prioritizing their health. Certainly not to generalize, but I find that oftentimes men don't elect to come to the doctor as often as they should. So I try to do a lot of educating on, if you have these symptoms of, perhaps a heart condition, or you have these symptoms of a lung condition, these are reasons to call me back. I know that you may not choose to come and see me every single year, but I encourage it. But at least if I can arm them with information so they know what to expect, then I can, make sure that I see them when it's urgent. And then I do a lot of counseling them on what to expect as they age, because sometimes as we age, our joints ache and hurt a little bit more. Sometimes our exercise tolerance declines. And so it's really important to understand, is this a normal feature of aging, or is this a sign that there's something else going on? And should I call my doctor for this?
Yeah, which is good. And really right now, it's always a good time to consider your health, you know, and you have to make sure that you have the right person on your side. And I know that you are currently accepting new patients, correct?
I am. I've been at this location with IU Health for almost a year, and so I'm gladly welcoming new patients into my practice, and I really enjoy caring for the community here in Fort Wayne.
Well, I've enjoyed talking with you. I can tell that
Same.
you're just so knowledgeable and your energy is just so warm. You make such a good doctor.
Thank you.
So it's such a pleasure to learn more, and thank you for the information today.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And if you would like more information about IU Health, in particular Dr. Erin Jefferson, then we'll put her contact information below so that you can reach out, because she is currently accepting new patients. And I'll see you after the break.
Follow us on social media at Living Local 15.
Enjoy fun in the sun on Living Local 15. Become a tourist in your own city. Visit your favorite spots and have some fun with me. From kayaking to rappelling off a building, I show you ways to have an adventure in Northeast Indiana every weekday morning at 9 on WANE 15. So join me, Jessica Williams, for Living Local 15.
Watch Living Local 15 with Jessica Williams weekdays at 9 on WANE 15 and catch past episodes on WANE.com. Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group. Go to the Living Local 15 page on WANE.com for recipes from the show, to watch a segment again, and to get information on products and services featured on Living Local 15. Content segments during today's Living Local 15 were paid for by these sponsors.